Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Friday, the end of the week, and we've got a really good-looking satellite here this morning with two obvious storm systems. The one that's off the New England coast that's still there and still spinning away, and the next one that's coming out of the southern plains now and getting ready to move east. Now, I've been pointing out, excuse me, the last few days, the blocking signature that you can see on the satellite, and I just want to show it to you again. But if you look up north of this upper low, these clouds are moving northeast to southwest. The upper high is right in here, and then you have these two weather systems sort of trapped underneath it. So, if I draw the sequence in terms of the upper winds here, this is what your upper air jet stream looks like, okay? Like this. Got to put another end to that arrow. Out here, you've got the circulation from the upper low. Okay, so you got this counterclockwise turning that's going on there, and it's trapped underneath. It wants to go west to east, but it can't until this upper high weakens enough to basically open the door, and then you have this other upper low. So that's kind of how the jet stream looks at the moment. Okay, right like this. Whoops, I'm sorry, the arrow was the wrong way. It goes like that. Okay, but that's what the upper air profile is in the atmosphere, and we can even add that if we'd like, something like that. So there's this northern energy that's coming down in the flow. So this is sort of how you can take the puzzle apart sometimes. If you watch how the satellite the clouds are looping around, you can sort of figure out what's going on in the upper layers of the atmosphere. So got a lot of action here, and it's out in the west. We've got a system that's coming into the Pacific Northwest. Again, this is a good sign for what we would call progression, things moving along from west to east, progressing. With the weakening of that upper high in the east, it's beginning to allow weather systems to move along again. So like the bottleneck that we have been in is about to break down, and we've got some moisture that's coming up through the Pacific Northwest and swinging around this circulation, which is right along the immediate coast here. So just another well-defined feature. And in terms of severe weather today, let's show you what the Storm Prediction Center has to say, because it does have a risk area, marginal to slight risk, mostly in the southeast and down into the central Gulf states, with a general area of thunderstorms. And again, this is all part of that next weather system that is playing out eastward. So we've been saying, the idea in my head has been that this is going to be producing a few inches of rain in a path from the northern mid-Atlantic states right up into southern New England. I see no reason to change that. The new NAM has gotten more aggressive after getting less aggressive yesterday. And I was basing my forecast on that because of the fact that last week, when we had the soaking rain last Friday, models 2 days before suddenly pulled the back on the rain and cut everything in half, and then wound up going back to these sort of a traditional these early on robust solutions, which were for several to many inches of rain. I mean, I don't know if we're going to go back to that, but the NAM certainly has come back now. So it shows a general area of 1.5 to 3 inches of rain throughout much of the zone from Maryland and northeastern Virginia, Maryland, on up through New Jersey, southeastern and much of eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern New York, southern New England, and then it kind of increases again as you go up into northern New England. So I really don't see any need to change my my view. And when we looked at the overnight GFS, actually, I want to go back 2 runs here, because the run last night here, this is the 0Z run, and it got more aggressive again. Large area of 2-inch plus rains in a large part of New Jersey and over Long Island, and some 3-inch plus rains. It got fairly aggressive there. And when we go to the mid-cycle run, kind of scaled it back slightly, but it still has the general idea here. So I'm thinking 1.5 to 2.5 inches on average. There will be some local flooding problems that will occur in the usual suspect spots out of all of this. And then it goes out. The rain's going to develop overnight across Maryland, Delaware, southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, and then gradually work its way northward. If you will look at the NAM model surface, and it kind of gives you the idea here of how this goes. So this is this evening at 8 o'clock. So we've got rain in through most of Maryland and Virginia. Low pressure is over in the Virginia Panhandle. Then it sort of translates its way into Chesapeake Bay, so that by tomorrow morning, 6, 7 a.m., we have rain to New York City and northern New Jersey, and some heavy rains in the yellow and the darker greens down in southeastern Pennsylvania and the southern half of New Jersey. The model today is bringing that right up the coast into New York, into the northern part of the state by mid-morning, the Hudson Valley, western Long Island, and into southwest Connecticut, and it covers the area with heavy rain during Saturday afternoon, gradually ending by late afternoon across southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania, and during Saturday night. It's a little bit faster with this, a little bit more tucked into the coast. And the other issue, let me just want to check the wind, because there might be, marginally close gales. Actually, it does produce gales along the coast with a low tracking just a little further west. It sort of drags the wind field in a little bit. So it's producing 20 to 30 knot winds right along the immediate coast of New Jersey, and then for Long Island, South Shore, and actually a good chunk of the eastern sub part of Suffolk County gets into 20 to 35 knot winds. So there'll be some gales with this as the low moves out, and then it moves away to the Gulf of Maine on Monday, and it should be pretty windy here. I'm thinking later Sunday night into Monday. There probably will be some leftover showers for Mother's Day, but you can see you got a lot of isobars here, so the pressure gradient's pretty tight. Low in the Gulf of Maine, high pressure up in the Great Lakes, large pressure difference, relatively short distance, so you're going to kick the winds up a little bit, especially with the daytime heating that you can get if we get any sunshine here on Monday. But even on Sunday, it's going to be breezy for a while, and along the coast, it's generating 20 to 30 knot winds. So let's really quick look at the longer term, because it's a Friday today, so I got to sort of hit the road a little sooner. And I'll just go back to one GFS model run. And by the way, I will be on top of this over the weekend, so you will not be a want for weather information. Okay? I promise. So let's go. Here's the upper air. And again, we've been talking about the fact that the block completely breaks down. And just look from the current setup here. There's your upper high, and here's low off the coast, moving into the Pacific Northwest. You've got that low drop down to the north. There's that southern low, and there's the system offshore. So if you remember back to how I drew the satellite, this matches up pretty well here. But here we go. Now notice by tomorrow that upper high is all gone, and here we have this now new trough. That's the system that we're dealing with. The system that's off the New England coast, that's moved out because, again, the block is breaking down, and the system in the Pacific Northwest finally has a chance to move inland. And as we go forward into next week, Big Ridge pops up in the eastern states, so that's going to mean for some warmer temperatures, barring any backdoor fronts that try to come through. And we're going to be in a ridge position pretty much through the second half of next week, and looks like right through next weekend before we start to get into troughing again, and that's later in the period as far as the Northeast is concerned. So very interesting pattern going forward. And I want to really quick just put up the U.S. surface map here, and we will take a look at that. So here's our low moving up the East Coast. Here's the system coming into the Pacific Northwest. Then we get the southwest flow already beginning by Tuesday afternoon in the east. So that's where your warm-up is coming. And with the trough now going into the western part of the United States, looks like some rain and snow setting up for the Rockies and Plains for at least a couple of events over the next couple of weeks. Also, for some reason, the models yesterday were trying to show some kind of low coming out of the Caribbean and the Bahamas and moving northeastward. I mean, I don't know. It's still spinning something up there, and it is going toward the latter part of the month. And there has been a tendency over the last 10 years. I think we've had, I got, I shouldn't even pull out a number, but I think it's 4. I'm just off the top of my head, but I have to look. But we've had a few named storms during the month of May over the last 10 or 12 years. So if it winds up that we do have a tropical storm that forms out of this down the road in a week or two, I wouldn't, don't be shocked. It also could just be model nonsense at this point, because sometimes models like to spin everything that moves. And then as we head toward Memorial Day holiday weekend, looks like, for now, it's showing some weather systems that are going to be affecting the eastern part of the U.S., but that's sort of in who knows land. All right, folks, have a great day. Website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Angry Ben, he's angry because it's going to rain tomorrow, and he didn't want it to rain. He's on nycweathernow.com. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would. Subscribe to my weather videos by hitting the little red subscribe button on the channel page. And you will be notified every time a new video comes up, which is at least once a day. Look for flood watches, by the way, I think to go up throughout much of the coastal Northeast and mid-Atlantic states later today to set us up for Saturday's rainfall. Okay, so everybody have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend ahead.